Devil's Upheaval. This is going to be a really cool build for a lot of players. And if you're a veteran player and you're about to watch the gameplay that I'm about to show you, you're going to laugh. If you're a casual, you're really going to appreciate what I've done here because it's kind of insane. Didn't think it would be possible, but this build just came together so well. Now, first, let's kind of just talk about Upheaval because it's incredibly strong when you're leveling up, but it does fall off. I hate to say it. The other builds are so much stronger. I don't think a lot of people anticipated this, even with the Upheaval buff, but to some players, it doesn't feel good. It didn't feel that good to me. A bit clunky is usually the term a lot of players use when describing Upheaval. So I said, you know what? Give me a couple days, right? I'm going to try everything I possibly can. And it led to me being overtired, making some mistakes, that I did something that I didn't think was going to be possible, which I'm going to show you now. So really quickly before I get into the gameplay and all of that, the guide's here. It's going to be in the pinned comment section. So if you want to skip all of this, just head to the pinned comment. Check out the guide. Pretty straightforward. This is a leap quake build. So there are uniques here, all this good stuff. You only really need giant strides. If you don't have this, the build just doesn't work, right? There are other Upheaval builds you can do with like 3 shouts, I guess 4 shouts, a basic skill on Upheaval, the 4th shout being the ultimate shout, of course, but it's not that fun and it's not that powerful. It's, I think, overhyped in my opinion, and the mobility you gain is kind of crazy. So the first thing you'll notice about this build, and I have to like kind of warn everyone about this is a gamer build, right? So if you consider yourself average or like just below average at this game, which I don't know, self-reflection, right? This build probably isn't for you. If you haven't figured it out yet, by looking at these skills in front of you, we have no unstoppable in this build, which makes it insanely fun because there's an added skill requirement to making this happen and making it feel as smooth as it does, and I couldn't fit unstoppable on this. But even with all of that, I cleared all content in the game. All the bosses, and I'm about to show you a nightmare 99 tier 99 run. I couldn't get 100, didn't have the dust for it. And like I said, if you're a veteran player, you're gonna laugh what I'm about to show you. So I'm not gonna go over the build planner just yet because you can kind of read that on your own. I want to head straight into the footage here so you see what I'm talking about. Okay, so as I said, overtired, a lot of things were going on here. So you're gonna notice a few things first as you kind of get a, first of all, love this transmog, by the way. Great purchase, not sponsored by Blizzard, I swear. So we head into the dungeon here. Now, what I want you guys to focus on is going to be my health, right? Just focus on my health. You've probably noticed it already, but in case you haven't, I'll wait a little bit longer. Okay, my health, all good, all good. All right, so if you still haven't noticed what I'm talking about, I have no fortify in this build. Now, if you play a barbarian, you can see a little bit of fortify now, but I don't have the typical fortify that people have. You see, I'm out of potions now. I have to literally run around picking up potions, and you might be thinking, Murder, how is this fun? First of all, don't ever do what I just did there. Let's go back to that. We got to talk about this. Okay, it's just before this. It's okay, right here. This is where I start running. Okay. So gamer move by me, right? I pick up 1 potion. I know I'm in trouble. I know I have to leap back onto the elites to one-shot them, and this is what I do instead. I leap straight into the door, and then I start upheavaling a wall. Thankfully, in the top right-hand corner, I see there's 3 potions there, so I go and grab them. But what I'm basically talking about with this build, and you will never play the version of the build that you see on the screen here. You're going to be playing a much more comfortable version, but the gameplay is going to be the same. Leaping around, one-shotting things with Upheaval. I can upheaval at like 1,000 miles an hour, but if you want to play this version, I will show you how to do it. It really is a ton of fun because you have to play extremely well to clear content. And the fact that I got this 99 done without fortify is pretty insane. It really is. And not only that, I was actually missing a vampiric power. Again, I was testing for like, 10 hours, and then I decided to record this footage, which was a massive mistake, as you will see. And I mean, I'm going to die for the first time. Is it here? It might be here. Yeah, because I just run out of potions. Yeah, so this is like a potion grabbing build for sure. Well, no, not the version you guys are going to play, but just this right here. So, I mean, I'm not going to bore you with the gameplay too much. You can kind of see how it goes. Look, you have died, right? I just got completely overwhelmed here. And I burned. That was the biggest mistake I made in this pack. If you saw what I just did here, I burned a lunging strike. Where is it? Right here. That's a lunging strike, 966,000 overpower. If that had been an upheaval, we're talking like 20 million damage. So that would have saved me for this pull, but it didn't, and I died. So moving on to that. We got one death. Another death was really stupid. I was running back and I looked away to read a DM. I wonder, are we going to see it? It might be here. And I just run straight into a pack and get destroyed. Like, actually destroyed. All right, where is it? It might have been, like, my second death. All right, 2 deaths remaining. Anyways, I can't find it. But on one of these deaths, I'm just running back and looking away from my screen, and I just get clapped by a mob that spawned from the portal that I wasn't even expecting here. So now we can kind of talk about, I mean, look, the damage. Okay, look, I have 0 revives remaining here, by the way. 0. So, like, this is, like, kind of like I'm saying, this is really fun. Because there isn't really anything this hard in the game right now. And I mean, you might be thinking, why make anything harder than it has to be? Simply for fun. Trying to do a Nightmare 99 without using Fortify. Fortify is a damage increase for 1 for your... Yeah, see, that I was risky not using my shouts there, but I knew there was going to be a pack up here. Fortify increases your overpower damage by a pretty decent amount because it scales off of health and it counts your health and your fortified health. So now we're going to face the boss for the first time. And another thing I wanted to do in this run, which I did preemptively do, is I wasn't counting my weapon swaps. Because I see a lot of people saying it's hard for me to get the hang of weapon swaps in any overpower build here. So I was just free casting everything. I wasn't watching my overpower procs. And if I can do a 99 with no fortify, without watching my overpower procs, you can do any content in the game with the version where you do get fortify, of course, of this build here. And I did the same thing for the boss. I could have held all of my cooldowns here and made sure I had overpowers for every single upheaval. But as you can see, I'm not doing that at all. See, I just used an overpower proc on the lunging strike because I said, you know what? A lot of players are playing like this, so why not just imitate what the average player is doing? And if you're a gamer who counts his overpower procs, even though it's a little bit extra, you're going to destroy, right? But I wanted to make this a little more friendly to, like I said, the average player. And you can see the stagger with a leap quake build is pretty insane here. You'll stagger bosses. I mean, you're going to one-shot bosses if you watch your overpower procs. If you don't, you're going to stagger it very, very quickly, and this is why it's very beginner friendly. So that's the build, and then what I wanted to talk about that I didn't have active. The first thing I didn't have active in that run is this right here. So I was missing 16% multiplicative damage to vulnerable targets, which is a lot of damage, and I haven't changed it since then because I'm moving away from upheaval at the moment. And so this gets to the question, what can you do to make this build not a struggle like we saw here? And this is where I'll go back to the planner one more time here. You can see on the bottom we have Fortify. This build has a low baseline Fortify generation. Swapping a unique for Numbing Wrath will help significantly if you are struggling and you do not want the challenge. If you don't want the challenge, get rid of Soul Brand, put on a chest piece with max life and triple damage reduction, or you can armor, it's up to you completely, or even resistance, that's fine as well. And then swap on Numbing Wrath and full Fortify, just from that one change here. If you want additional survivability, you can drop Tusk Helm of Jorits the Mighty, and you can put on Disobedience, because this build is also not running Disobedience. I really wanted to go for the fun factor because I wasn't finding it in with Upheaval in the end game, and this did it for sure here. So as we can see, I have Earthquake, and we have Bolkathos, which is if you leap, you get the damage from Earthquake. If you Earthquake, you get the damage reduction from Leap, which is why the synergy is incredible here. Outside of that, this is a juiced Paragon board. When I say juiced, I'm not going to go over this Paragon board now because it needs its own video. I'm going to show you statistics comparing this. I didn't do this, by the way, but someone else took the math from other top content creator Paragon boards, compared it to what I spend hours and hours on trying to make. It will double your damage. That's a big claim, but I'm telling you, when you see the numbers of the comparisons that were done with overpower proc abilities, this will double your damage. So this is the one for Upheaval. Like I said, you can use it for any build you want, but that's going to be a separate video because there's a bit to talk about there for sure here. So outside of all of that, these are the basic stats I have. I have a ton of life in this build, obviously, because without this much life, the non-fortify factor would be quite troublesome to say the least here. And the only final swap I would recommend if you are not running the helmet, unique helmet, Tusk Helm of Jorix the Mighty, which not everyone's going to have, understandably, you can go ahead and swap off Violent Upheaval for Furious Upheaval. Why I don't recommend this normally, even if you don't have the Jorix of the Tusk Helm, or Tusk Helm of Jorix the Mighty, is because, as you saw from my gameplay footage, you're just spamming Upheaval at like 1,000 miles an hour. It kind of gets rid of the lag of animation. And I mean, let's try to find my attack speed. Okay, attack speed bonus 23%. When I crit, I am getting another 22%. So that is 45% here. And I have this Ravenous Power, 20% lucky hit chance, quite often based on the skills we're using, to increase your attack speed by 40% of your total movement speed. So we're hitting cap easily and very, very quickly and very often. Even though it says 20% chance, you will notice when it procs that, I mean, when you click your buttons, you know right away when it procs because you just start, it's like starts queuing abilities. You tap Upheaval twice and it does it as fast as you clicked it and you're like, was not expecting that, but okay. So that's going to be this Upheaval build here. Like I said, you can use it pretty much anywhere. At any given moment, you are going to have this overpower proc. If you want to use this for bosses, what do? You spend 300 of your primary resource, and then you head to the boss, and you use an Upheaval, and you one-shot it, right? If you don't want to do that, you are going to have the Bone Breaker. Where's Bone Breaker? You're going to have Bone Breaker every 12 seconds, your next skill guaranteed. One-shot the boss, perfectly fine. And you are also going to have the Vampiric Power Blood Boil, again, every 20 seconds. So, I mean, your first two Upheavals are going to be overpowers, and you're just going to one-shot everything. Why didn't I do that in the Nightmare 99 run? Like I said, I burned it on Leap and Lunging Strike first, just to simulate someone that isn't as comfortable with queuing overpower, to kind of make it as casual friendly as possible, to make sure I could actually clear the content while messing up the entire build and not running Fortify, which again, if you are a gamer, I would recommend trying this build. It is difficult to play. It is very difficult to play. And when I say that, again, I'm not talking about the build in the planner. I'm talking about what I am running here without any type of Fortify. I have to clarify that just so people don't get discouraged from Upheaval, even though, like I said, it's definitely not a top build of Season 2. Alright guys, that's going to conclude this video guide on Upheaval. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Stay tuned and make sure you subscribe with the notification bell for my next video on the massive Paragon board. I'm going to call it the God board for now because that's how big of a damage difference it really is. So until next time, my friends, I'll see you in the next upload.